Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching-En.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road.
And get started.
Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about career shifts, and as part of the working population, I'm sure many of us have felt at one time or another the feeling of being stuck in your job or that lack of sense of purpose or direction with one's work. Our guest today will be sharing with us his journey on what it's like to take a jump and shift careers, especially after having set some pretty deep roots in one's field of work.
Mr. Arden Lim is currently a senior technical writer at Arden Lim, a Taiwanese company that designs and manufactures products for embedded computing, test and measurement, and automation applications. Though headquartered in Taiwan, Arden Lim has operations in several areas like Beijing, Paris, San Jose, and Seoul, just to name a few.
Thanks for joining us today, Arden, and please say hi to our audience.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Actually, I was so impressed with the radio booth.
Oh, cool.
It's so posh. Hi.
Okay, we're glad to hear that you're enjoying your experience with us so far. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I am Arden. I came from the Philippines and I've been here for 7 years now, almost 7 years this September. I'm enjoying my life here. It was a struggle in the beginning, but yeah, life gave me a different route to enjoy.
And today we're going to be talking about a career shift versus a career change. So before we actually do a deep dive into this, maybe we could clarify the differences. So my understanding is a career shift occurs when you want to change direction within your career or take on a different job with responsibilities but in the same general area of expertise. A career change is when you pursue an entirely new direction or new profession. And in the beginning, you may have a few skills that would apply to the job. Is this correct?
Yes, I believe so. But if you ask me what's the definition of it, like they're really almost the same because when you shift career, it's like you're also blinded with the things that you're going to encounter in the future. Like both of career shifting and career change would make you a better person because like you're not within your comfort zone.
I see. Let's take this discussion back a little bit and learn more about where you came from. So you mentioned you're just like me. You come from the Philippines. Could you tell us a little bit about your life back then?
So I was into training and development. I was doing that for 7-8 years. I did operations training and human resources training. Training development in the Philippines was a big industry because everyone would want to be trained. I don't know. Like it's different here in Taiwan because in Taiwan, it's like when you enter the company, you should know what you're going to contribute. But in the Philippines, it's more of like you need to be trained first. Like a lot of training programs and a lot of processes that need to be executed. In the Philippines, like first entered the technical training and that's operations training. So I was into retail and F&B or food and beverages industry. I was training managers and crew members of a certain fast food brand.
You can mention it.
I can mention it. Okay. It's KFC in Philippines. So for newly hired managers, I would train them for 3 months. That includes products, financials, and labor. Like how do they compute not just the business itself, but also like the expenses other than like the food or ingredients, you know, like also the people and how they manage the people. And that was my first job. And before I was able to train them, I had to undergo the whole training process. And I had to pass that too.
Oh.
So I was training inside the store, like with a shift of like up until, because in Taiwan, like you closes at 10. In the Philippines, we closes at
That's right.
like 2,
Yeah.
4 a.m. So,
Yeah.
and I was like counting chicken, like chicken bits,
Drumsticks.
drumsticks, and I burnt a lot of like burgers because my course was like into behavioral sciences. So like I never thought I would enter into that industry. Okay. Sorry. I'll just tell you a bit of a story of how I entered into that business.
Sure.
It was also an accident. I applied for an HR position after I graduated from college, and then the only opening that they had was that position. So they told me, "Are you open to explore other position?" I said, being a fresh graduate, like you don't know what you want to do, but I knew I wanted training because I was applying for a training professional position back then, and I had no idea what it's like. Like I thought like training before was like into HR only. I never thought like training there are like different programs or different departments. So when I entered that technical training, I realized, oh, this is cool. It's a different world that added to my CV. You know what I mean? It's something that I can use in the future. That's what I thought of during that time.
Okay, so you've worked with KFC, and then I believe you also worked with the retail industry, Robinson's, which is one of the largest multi-format retailers, which basically means that they have their presence in a lot of different industries like supermarkets, drugstores, department stores, and so on and so forth. They're huge.
They're huge. Like they've entered different business units.
Yeah.
When I entered the business, when I entered their company, they franchised a newly market entry brand, which was Costa Coffee. It was huge in the UK and in the Middle East. And they franchised that, and they hired me as a technical trainer for that business. It was something that I really cherished because they gave me a lot of opportunities. I went to Singapore for conferences because of that. I was able to do end-to-end training for the company. It was something that I tested my knowledge and skills in training, and they gave me that.
It sounds like you found your job at the time to be very fulfilling, and that you were enjoying the experiences, that particular field, the opportunities that it was giving you. Would that be correct?
Yes. Because like I knew how to train, like I knew how to create a module, but I never thought I could do something more. I never thought I could, because like they have their own training program internationally, and I had to localize it. I had to learn deep down about the business itself. Even latte art. You know, latte.
Wow, really?
I was what do you call that one? I was certified for, like different products. Because like Costa back then was like into not just like a commercialized type of coffee shop, but they have this coffee skills as barista. So I had to learn everything. And after learning all of those, like that's a challenge for me. How could I apply those learnings into the Philippine setup? In that time, like there's no other training personnel aside from me. So I had to, like, aside from training people, creating modules for them, and from one store opening to another. Like it was like I was going home really late. I was going to work really early.
Sure.
And with all those marketing, because like I was also coordinating with marketing in terms of like product launches, everything. So it was so busy, but I was so fascinated. I was so interested. I was willing to learn all those, because like it's not every day that you can find those learnings,
You're right. I mean, where else would you get the chance to try out latte art, learn how to roast coffee beans?
True.
And I don't know, become a coffee expert.
That time, yeah. Maybe I'm not a coffee expert now because like it's been a while.
I would think that the learnings that you got would still stay with you. I don't think the beans, well, I don't know. I was going to say I don't think the beans would change its taste and flavor, but
yeah. And they taught me how to know if the coffee is bad or not. that's something good. It's not like you just drink coffee and then you're fine. Like there's like a good tasting coffee and there's like a bad tasting coffee.
Is that the last job before you came to Taiwan?
Yes, technically, because after that I resigned from that job and then did some freelance training in the Philippines. So I partnered with an ad agency to go to like different islands of the Philippines to train their people, because during that time I had to process my papers and everything before I can come here. So that time I resigned first because I don't want to be stressed with the requirements for Taiwan and then like doing my job and everything. So I want to be chill while still working
I see.
on the side.
I see. What's your connection with Taiwan? Why did you decide to come here?
Oh, because my parents live here. They've been working here since I was a baby or even before. So my dad was he's been working here, like he's Taiwanese by citizenship. My mom is a Filipino Chinese, and then she acquired the citizenship when I don't know, like maybe into 90s or something.
I see. So in a way, your connection is through family.
Yes.
Your family was based here.
Yes.
Wait, so how did you end up? Why? This is gonna sound weird. How were you born in the Philippines?
Okay, a lot of people would ask me that question like 100 times, because I had my relatives back in the Philippines. So I had my grandma there, and she's willing to take me as a baby, as a kid. And they told me it's better to learn the English language in the Philippines, because right now, like Taiwanese can really speak English. Like there are a lot of schools now, unlike like 20, 30 years ago. And then they told me like there are more opportunities in the Philippines, as well as how do I say it? Like when you're in the Philippines, everything's cheap. Or I think during that time, like they're almost the same in the 90s. I'm not sure.
Okay, we're gonna compare a little bit because I also grew up in the Philippines. The way my mom said, or the way she explained it to me, why I ended up in the Philippines was because during that time, at least during her time, Taiwan was poor, and so I don't know if it's the same with you.
Are we in the same generation?
I don't know. We'll find out after this. But yeah, my mom was saying that time living in Taiwan was really hard, and there was a period of time when the Philippine peso was actually a lot stronger than the NT dollar. And so it made sense for us to live there because in terms of like cost of living, the money that they would have would stretch further and could also help her family here. Whereas if we were here, life was a bit harder at the time for at least for them. I don't know exactly how hard, but yeah, she was sharing that it just made more sense at the time because the peso in terms of
value.
like, yeah, it would stretch a lot further. So I don't know if it was the same.
I'm not sure if we're on the same generation, but I don't know. Maybe the education, the convenience, maybe, because like they both working, and then my grandma was like in the Philippines, so like there's someone who can take care of me.
I see. Since you mentioned that it was your grandma mainly taking care of you, did you know how to speak Mandarin?
I remember when I was a kid, because when I talked to my grandma, I was talking to her in Hokkien. So like I remember that's the first few words that I utter like during those times, but until I started schooling, that's I think where I started learning the Filipino language. Maybe like I'm not sure. Like I did not ask that because my grandma is not with us anymore. Like in 2018 she passed away. So like I never asked about that question.
Okay, one last question.
Sure.
What triggered your desire to come to Taiwan though? Because like you mentioned the process of like how you ended up there and why you resigned, but what triggered that desire to come here, especially since you were sharing, you were also getting fulfilled and it sounded like you were also quite happy with where you were in the field that you were in.
So I was in my late 20s back then. I don't know if that's because that's in the middle of a quarter life crisis, and like maybe going to midlife. Midlife should be 40, but like maybe for young people, like it's earlier. Since I graduated from college, every time my mom would call me like, "Oh, when will you come to Taiwan? Blah blah blah. We're getting old." I knew back then that they couldn't go back to the Philippines. So somehow I had to adjust. And that time, maybe that one call before I decided to, okay, I'm going to come to Taiwan was, what if I changed my life? Because like I got used to like going to work, same old things, same old banana. Like you just do what you ought to do every single day, the same people, same environment. What if I change my life because of that opportunity? I had no idea if I could find a job here. I had no idea what my life could be. But I don't want to regret not taking that chance, even if it was so risky. I was in my late 20s. I was about to be 30 that time. My classmates were marrying, some of my classmates were like having kids. And like me was just like being selfish maybe. Like since I was single and I can, still explore, why not change my life in an instant? So that was like a signal for me to, okay, let's try this.
That makes me curious. Like, weren't you worried about a number of things? It sounded like the spirit of adventure pushed you. I'm wondering if during that time you also had a number of concerns, because it sounded like you were pretty settled in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you have a number of worries? Also, like the concern with the language, because as you mentioned at the time, you didn't really know how to speak Mandarin.
Yes, you're right. Here's the thing, like I was so impulsive.
Okay.
Until now, I'm so impulsive. So sometimes when I feel that, okay, I think I can do this, I'll just go do it. And it may be a good or bad thing. It happened to me several times. Like last year, I saw my friend's story. Because that time I was like, I just resigned from my job and I was free. He's in the Philippines. He's Taiwanese, but he's in Cebu.
Mm-hmm.
He's Louis. So he's in Cebu. Like, Louis, what are you doing there? Oh, having a vacation. Okay, that moment I checked the flights during that day. And it was 4 p.m. There's a flight at 8 p.m. I was at the gym. I did not finish my routine. I just grabbed my stuff, went home, packed my stuff. I forgot my chargers. I forgot a lot of stuff. And then right there and then at 4, I booked a flight going to Cebu.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I see.
If it's me, I would hesitate for the next hours and miss the flight.
See, but the thing is, Chingan would hesitate. I wouldn't even consider it. I'm just like, no.
It's impossible to make it, right?
No, it's not that it's impossible. I do not like being rushed.
Oh.
I like things planned. So that's why I'm very, in a way, the way I live my life is kind of structured. I kind of like things set in a certain way. And when people like you are very impulsive and drag me out to do stuff, I get stressed.
Yeah.
Because I like to know what's going on. I'm not very good with emergencies, I think. If you suddenly throw me at a situation where I have no idea what's going on or what the parameters I'm working with, I can figure it out. It's not like I am totally incapable. But I am extremely stressed. Yeah, I'm extremely
you're just not
stressed.
comfortable.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't know if it's a sickness or what, if it's a disease or, I don't know what you call it, but that's how impulsive I am.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, but even if I'm that impulsive, I own my mistakes. I own everything that's gonna happen after that impulsiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And back to that time when I was deciding, I was impulsive, but during that time I already resigned. I was free and I can do whatever I want. So I just did it.
That's all the time we have for today. Please don't forget to join us next week as Arden shares his experiences on what it was like for him to start from scratch and look for work when he first arrived in Taiwan. This is Ching and Cho.
And Mary Ann Shoko.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Want to stay up to date or view past RTI programs, videos, and news stories? come check out our website at english.rti.org.tw.